All of those alpha male personality types that you see who are getting really successful, they're all Stoic.
If a relative dies, is it better to cry or is it better to get work done and continue to push forward?
You're a psychopath. All this is happening. You don't even care. They're threatened by the fact that I'm Stoic.
There's nothing that pisses me off more than the Manosphere putting Stoicism on a pedestal and selling it to you as the one-all be-all solution to all your problems. How about I tell you this is complete BS, and this is coming from a guy who identifies as a Stoic and treats Marcus Aurelius like he's a prophet. Honestly, Marcus Aurelius had his flaws too. As much as I love the guy, he left one of the worst legacies to take his throne. He spent most of his life fighting wars, neglecting his children, and he was evidently depressed when you read his journal meditations. So why do we put such a philosophy on a pedestal and deem it as the one-all be-all solution to all our problems? It's because we all have a false sense of reality. Listen, we all believe that there's one answer for everything, but if there's one thing I learned is that if you're a human being, you are destined to fail and make mistakes. Stoicism doesn't change that, and in fact, it can be very toxic if you think you're better than others just because you follow this philosophy. The most successful people of all time have flaws. Winston Churchill had a drinking problem. Arnold Schwarzenegger cheated on his wife. Khabib literally lost his cool after Connor's fight. But no, we would never do something like that, right? Wrong. We're all ready to point the finger at someone else because we don't want the attention on us. There's been this trend on YouTube where the Manosphere is embodying Stoicism as this completely different definition that you guys are being sold on. And it's as if they never read a single book about the philosophy. They say things like, yeah, you should be indifferent, you should be calm at all times, don't act upon your emotion. And these are coming from the most emotional guys I've ever seen. I've actually met quite a few of them and I was shocked to see how emotional these guys can get. And by the way, I'm no different because just like what I said before, we are all flawed by nature. And real Stoicism actually accepts this. What does this mean? It means you and I are both destined to fail, cheat, and make mistakes. And in this video, I want to critique the modern interpretation of Stoicism. And if you actually want to live like a Stoic, then watch this video. The first idea I have for today is that Stoicism doesn't mean to remain Stoic all the time. To be human means to experience human emotions, to love, to hate, to feel joy and sadness is all normal. Why do we attach ourselves to this philosophy to alleviate our suffering when suffering is inevitable? If you want to experience love, then you're also going to experience the grief that comes from the loss of that love. If you want to experience happiness, then you're also going to have to bear the sadness when it's not there. Do you see my point? The very condition of the human experience is to experience all these influx of emotions that come and go. And Stoicism is not this answer that will keep you from suffering. Remaining Stoic all the time is impossible. It's by definition a contradiction of the human experience. Can you control what you do with your emotions? Absolutely. But you can't control not experiencing them. So it's okay to admit you're hurting too, man. I know how it feels. It just means you are human. It's kind of when Epictetus says you're just like another patient in the hospital bed trying to get better like everyone else, except you'll never be 100% better. Think about your physical health, for example. Let's say you eat the right foods, you exercise every day, you get enough sleep. You might decrease the amount of times you get sick, but it's impossible to keep yourself from getting sick forever. So look at philosophy and mental health the same way. Just because you do all these Stoic practices of meditating, journaling, doesn't mean you're gonna keep yourself from being sick or experiencing these mental health issues. You're gonna struggle regardless, and it doesn't mean that you shouldn't do these practices at all, but it just means that you shouldn't completely rely on them. Even religious people that believe in God will tell you that this life is a test and that we're born here to sin and repent. So realize that everyone on this earth is just like you, ready to make a mistake, bro. And if you manage to succeed where most people don't, it just means you're able to experience a moment of greatness, a moment of winning a championship title, a moment of feeling loved, a moment of having your first child. You only have moments in this lifetime. And that's why the Stoic principle is that you can only live in the present time. Whether you live 1,000 years or you're gonna die today, it doesn't matter because we only have the present. So Stoicism doesn't ask us to remain Stoic all the time. It gets us to accept our flaws and realize that we're gonna struggle regardless. The second point I have for you today is that there's a major difference between lowercase Stoicism and highercase Stoicism. So lowercase Stoicism is enduring hardship and pain without complaint or showing emotion. This is the Stoicism that the Manosphere talks about that really pisses me off. They say that we shouldn't show emotions, don't cry, don't complain to your wife because she will leave you. Bro, shut the fuck up. We're not anime characters. We're not this perfect vessel that's supposed to be good all the time. Don't get me wrong, there's times that you can be Stoic, but real Stoicism is the practical philosophy that gets you to practice the cardinal virtues of wisdom, justice, temperance, and courage. It's not about being hard body all the time. It's about finding ways to live a meaningful life despite our suffering. But the Manosphere is selling you this philosophy to make money off you. Many of these modern Stoics are selling you this philosophy as a way to solve your problems when it comes to business, finance, relationships, and whatever it may be. It all started in psychology with cognitive behavioral therapy being used to treat people with emotional problems. CBT actually comes from Stoicism as they have the same definition where most of your problems are not the external problem itself, but your internal representation of it. Listen, there's no doubt in my mind that Stoicism and CBT actually work because it's worked wonders for myself, but all of us have internal problems that just cannot be fixed. Especially if you're a man, you're just gonna always feel like shit, man. You're gonna have the most productive day in the world. You can see $100,000 enter your bank account. It doesn't matter. You're gonna feel shitty regardless because you'll always experience the doubt, the anxiety, and the stress no matter where you are in life. It's the human experience to just suffer. That's the beauty of being a human being. No matter where you are, you're gonna experience the same problems as everyone else. And there's no amount of Stoicism or CBT that will save you from that. And that's the problem with the modern interpretation of this philosophy. Even the ancient Stoics knew this, and they suffered depression and many mental health problems that weren't spoken about at their time. They were always under stress and attacks, and it was a constant battle of survival at their time. So when people advise you to be indifferent to your problems, to be indifferent to your emotions, it's actually really bad advice, because you're a human being that's going to experience these things. It's our human nature to value and cling on to relationships that we love. It would be so ignorant of me to tell you to just let go of a heartbreak because it's in the past now. Bro, you love the girl. You got your heart broken. I can't just tell you, forget about it, channel your energy into something else. Yeah, that may help you in other realms of your world, but you're still gonna experience those shitty feelings regardless. And I just wanna say it's very healthy to express your emotions in a safe environment. CBUM, a 4X world championship in bodybuilding, will tell you himself. He's the guy that's being used in those, cold baths, stoic mindset, don't show pain. He will tell you himself that he cried on his girlfriend's shoulders on the bathroom floor because he just broke down. That's how he felt safe, and there's nothing wrong with that. Now, I'm not telling you to go cry to your girl the next day because I personally don't do that. But what I'm saying is that you can find healthy ways to express your emotions and not balling up all these emotions and carrying the weight of the world on your shoulders, because I know how it feels, man. It's such a shitty feeling to feel like all the pressure is on you. Stoicism is to be used as a tool for thinking. It's just another perspective for life. Just like when you read another book, it gives you a new lens to look at the world. I wouldn't advise you to just read this philosophy and make it your one all be all philosophy. Even the ancient Stoics themselves would tell you to critique it as well. Even Epictetus, who was known as a great Stoic philosopher, was positively influenced by cynicism and went so far to say Diogenes is a divine messenger. By the way, Diogenes is the same guy who threw his cup of water away just because he saw a kid use his hands to drink water. I would even go as far to say is that I've been a cynic lately because all I care about is YouTube and my health. We can learn from anyone and everything, so I'd highly advise you to take Bruce Lee's philosophy and to take the good from everything and discard the bad. I learned from Aristotle that both the metaphysical world and the real world is both important to me, and recently I even agree with the Machiavellian's perspective for getting power and understanding how people can screw you over so you don't get screwed over yourself. The point is not to fully indulge into one ideology because you might become delusional if you make it your one all be all solution, and instead to take the good from everything you learn. So just like Stoicism, there's both good and bad to it. So don't let the Manosphere convince you that it's this holy grail to your problems, because nothing is. One way we can save Stoicism is to stop putting people on a pedestal. Stoicism will tell you to stop talking about your philosophy and just embody it fully. So in other words, just show and don't tell. Not only this, but by putting other people on a pedestal, you're only hindering your own growth. I personally used to put this other YouTuber Hamza on a pedestal, and it's not until I met him online to realize he's just another guy that is just as flawed and goes through the same problems. If I were to continue praising this guy, I'd continue to chase his after image in the self-improvement niche, never being able to find my own identity. So you have to realize that you're able to accomplish anything just like any of these other guys because they're human just like you. And that's one of the best principles in my opinion in Stoicism. It tells you if one person was able to overcome it, then there's no reason that you shouldn't be able to overcome it as well. We have to stop putting people on a pedestal because you're indirectly telling yourself that you're not able to get to the same position as that other person. It's like when people play against LeBron James, they're not gonna say, oh, he's the king, he's the best, we can never beat him. Bro, screw that. They get on the court and they're going to treat him like any other player and go with that mentality to win the game no matter what. If you continue to put people on a pedestal, you will always be a loser and never be able to find yourself. The Manosphere has taken this philosophy and ran it in a completely different direction. They're using this other definition of Stoicism to play on your emotions and sell you this impossible character in movies. The Manosphere has stripped Stoicism off its clean look. It's being represented by guys that are telling you to get money, get women, and success. If you live a humble life of virtue, that to the Stoics was the ultimate gift. Real Stoicism is practicing these values of discipline, humility, patience, courage without any other reward. I'm not saying that you shouldn't make money and do all these different things, but I'm saying that we shouldn't credit Stoicism to all these people's success. Do you think Marcus Aurelius would want you to praise him? Do you know that he actually asked the people to burn his journal after he died? Thank God they didn't, but what I'm trying to say is look at what the real Stoics would say and do. The last thing I'll leave you off with is if you actually want to learn this beautiful philosophy, then read Epictetus' discourses Marcus's Meditations, and Seneca's letters from a Stoic, because that is the forefront of Stoicism. When you want to learn something the most, I say go to the source of it, not me or any of these other modern thinkers. Go to the source of it and learn for yourself, and always question everything, just like skepticism would teach us to. I hope you enjoyed this video. Subscribe if you're a real one. I really appreciate it. Until next time, guys.